I would be extremely grateful for the opportunity to be here to tell you a little bit about myself, and I briefly will tell you, my name is Randy Brunson. I'm running in the general election for County Commissioner, District 5. I feel that I'm well qualified for this position in 3 areas: my business background, my community involvement, and my government elected positions in the government. All my adult life I have been involved in the community, from the JCs, the Boy Scouts at an early age, and have made a difference. And I've been vice president of the JCs in Raleigh, North Carolina, and proud of what we've did there. We got a young man in the JCs elected mayor, went on to be secretary of the transportation for North Carolina. We're still friends. As I said, I'm active in this community. I've held a lot of positions on boards and that have given me tremendous history that is important to make good decisions in this county. And I look forward to the questions, and I'm happy to answer them, and I look forward to closing with some more information about me.
Good. Let me start with this. When you announced your decision to run in November, you said that you wanted to make sure that the electorate had the choice of a true conservative. You identified yourself as a true conservative, and Mr. Bryan was not. Well, Mr. Bryan's now out of the race, and the woman who won has billed herself as a true conservative. And so 2 true conservatives, or 2 self-proclaimed true conservatives. So why should the voters vote for you over Ms. Pennant?
Well, I am a member of the Republican Executive Committee. Mm-hmm. I'm a precinct committee man. I had worked hard for the Republican Party, and have not started coming to the meetings just to be a Republican. I was a Republican and did some things before I even ran for the airport authority. And so I'm the true conservative, and I think my record will show that.
Would you have voted for the millage rate increase that the County Commission voted for last year?
You know, my key word is balance. Mm-hmm. On everything. And I would probably not have voted for the millage increase without scrutinizing the reason for the millage increase. Mm-hmm. I've been told now that it's because the fire people are in deficit and so forth, but there's other ways that you could possibly get the money to take care of that. Like, I understand now that the firemen that are training out at our technical school can fill in for firemen and that don't get time and a half, and they just get straight time. That would have been a good savings there. So I would look for everywhere. But you know, I think that truly the county is looking everywhere they can to save money. And I know that we raised this millage rate with that long term we won't have to do it again for a while, but I've heard that all my life. Okay. And I would have, if I'd have done anything, it'd been such a small increase that it wouldn't have been affected to the homeowner.
Okay. Was that millage rate increase a tax increase?
Anytime it's, to me, when you've got an increase in something, you had your homes devalued, and I don't know what percent, but people are upside down, and they're struggling on that, and then they got a tax increase in what they have been devalued with. So that, to me, that's a tax increase.
Are you familiar with Amendment 4? It's on the ballot in November.
I'm familiar with Amendment 4, but you know, how many years ago? 2 years ago, Amendment 4, I fought hard to defeat Amendment 4.
Well, the new Amendment 4 is basically a call to give a tax break to new new property owners, first-time homeowners.
Right.
And also to limit the increases on commercial and industrial property. And the counties, of course, are across the state are howling. They say this would be a big revenue loss for them. The person who was sponsoring the bill said it doesn't have to be a revenue loss. All the counties have to do is increase the millage rate and to maintain the same amount of revenue. He's saying increasing the millage rate to maintain revenue is not a tax increase. You just said it was a tax increase.
It is a tax.
It's a tax increase, even though the fellow who's sponsoring Amendment 4 has said that a millage increase maintains the same amount of revenue is not a tax increase.
But that's what he said.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I think there's some good things in Amendment 4. I have not studied it, but I made a little talk the other day that I might have to put up signs to approve Amendment 4 if it does what it's supposed to do. But I'd instead of putting up signs to defeat it. So I'm sorry I can't answer that as good as I might do.
Okay, if Amendment 4 is passed and if you would be opposed to a millage increase
Right.
to make up for the revenue, where would you cut? It's a significant, it's a 2 or 3% cut in the county budget. Where would you direct county staff to cut? Or would you advocate on the Board of County Commissioners that they cut to make up this revenue?
There again, I'd have to study it, but I think we're cutting the budget, but I think there's still room that we can cut it further. I think we're doing good. I think we can do better. And I'd have to go line by line in this book, and which I'm starting to do, to see what we can do. There again, balance. I think it's important that we have the ball fields and the parks and the recreation and the cultural centers, but it has to be balanced. And it's what's good for the county is what I would work hard to.
Okay, I get that, but these are tough decisions, and the voters are going to vote for either you or Miss Bennett, and have a right to know what your philosophy is, what you'll be cutting. Since you Amendment 4 is like candy, people has an excellent chance of passing. That's going to be a big hit to the county. Mm-hmm. It seems fair for the county residents to know what your philosophy would be in cutting, where you'd be looking first. You just said you don't want to go up to parks and ball fields. So where would you go? You have to. The job of the commission is to direct the county administration and policy.
Yeah, sure. And the job of the commission is to have staff research this and make recommendations, and for me to make my decision where I would cut if that Amendment 4 happened.
Okay. So you don't think the voters should have an idea where you stand in the issue?
No.
Ms. Bennett is running on the campaign of economic development. She says that half of the word of economic development is development. She's also made the case in the debate that forum that the record sponsored that said that to have economic development you have to have rooftops. Rooftops come before economic development. So she's arguing for more houses. Mm-hmm. St. Johns County has a 20 years build out of houses already approved. Mm-hmm. Do you agree with her that we need more houses?
No, sir. You know, if you go back 6 years ago, when I first ran for county commissioner, my palm card says the same thing I'm saying today, that you've heard over and over and over with all these interviews, that we're out of balance. So the figure is 10% commercial, 90%.
11% commercial.
Yeah, 11 to 10. And if the numbers are true, that we have permitted already 60,000 houses. Supply and demand handles that. But to get out of this hole we're in, we have got to increase this commercial tax base. But that takes some time. And there can't be a quick fix on your Amendment 4 to get that money back in taxes. But this commercial would be good for jobs in the county and the income. And if we could just get 25%, that'd be a big boon to the economy.
It'll be an enormous boom. It's a 14% increase over what it is now. No one disagrees with you, Randy. Everyone agrees with that. But how do you do it? I will tell you that in the forum, I asked the county commission candidates, and there were 8 of them out there. No one answered that question.
Okay.
So I'll ask you. This is your chance to be the one who does answer the question.
I'll do my best. There again, I'll go back to my original goals when I ran for the first time. And that goal was that I would go out and find a director of economic development that is the best that we could buy. And I'd set some goals that they would do the work to use the EDC, the chamber, the St. Augustine Record to entice people to at least look at us. I remember 8 years ago, the EDC was involved in that, and we would have site selectors come into this county, and we would wine and dine them and show them property, and I even put them in my little putt-putt airplane and flew around and said, that site there would be suitable for what you're doing. And then it kind of winged off. And, you know, I wish I was smarter than I am, but I know one thing, I work hard, and I would make this my #1 priority. If you know it is everybody, but it's going to take everybody working together. And now we've hired a director of economic development, and we put a business center in to be more business friendly. But when you go to other meetings, or you go out of the county and go to meetings, it always comes up, you're from St. Johns County, you guys are not business friendly. You're the only one that has impact fees. And all this negativity it hurts. Now, in this meeting I had with Michael Warnichak, he was talking about the refinancing some bonds, and I think it's a good thing. Once I found out what the fees were, what the discounts were, and it makes sense. But I said, you know, I haven't heard much about this. Do you communicate with the county? And he said, Randy, that's something we're kind of weak at. We don't let the citizens know the good things. They find out the bad things that we do, the county, but they don't find the good things. That communication's got to change. Our demeanor has got to change. And I'll talk about this later, but being on the airport commission and authority afforded me to get out into other counties and to go to Jacksonville and sit down with the commissioners in the surrounding counties and the mayor of Jacksonville and the mayor of Neptune Beach and bounce ideas off of them. And I was elevated in that position to chairman of the business, industry, and government, and that gives you some clout in St. Johns County. And I'm looking forward to getting back up there and continue to do it.
As I heard you say, is your proposal is to create a director of economic development for the county, and then in your answer you point out the county did that under.
Yeah, that was my original thing I said to do. Now they've done that, and they're just, in my opinion, they're just now getting the foothold and starting that. We need to reinforce that and help in every way we can. So yeah, I said that I originally wanted to do that many, many years ago.
It's a great debate that happens out of elections. You know, in 2006 it was a big debate. It was the debate of property rights versus the community rights, the voters' rights. And you have the property owners say, hey, I want to build 2,000 homes, I want to do this, whatever. And you've got people who live down the street say, I don't want 2,000 homes down there because I don't want the traffic and I don't want it to affect the quality of my life. Your opponent has come down very strongly and firmly on the side of property rights in that debate. Where do you stand in that debate?
Well, there's degree of property rights, but you know what? To have the community we want, we have to make sure the infrastructure can handle these people that want to build these things. And you do traffic counts, you do school, where the schools are, where the fire department is, and just so, because somebody wants to build, they have to meet certain requirements. Now, if all these requirements are done and legally they can build, and you know this, you've been here a long time, that legally they should get their permits to do what they do. But you have to do a lot of things to make sure that it's good for the community.
Okay, you mentioned infrastructure, and earlier you mentioned impact fees, and the problem that is for the perception, at least among some, that the county is not open for development. Those roads and infrastructure are paid with impact fees. Your opponent has said that she would, that the county should cut spending by 3% as a way to eliminate impact fees. Do you favor impact fees, or eliminating or maintaining impact fees? She was in favor of eliminating all impact fees.
I know the answer to this, but I want to tell you that I originally, when Dr. Nicholson gave us his plan,
right.
And I think I was chairman of the St. John's Builders Council at that time, and we thought it was a bad thing. But and now it's slowly grown and grown and grown, and to tell you the truth, we have dug ourselves a hole with these impact fees because there's so many credits out there. If we eliminated the impact fees, they could call in these credits, and we'd, I hate to use the word bankrupt, but we'd be in serious financial trouble. But again, yesterday, Michael, I said, well, I'm going to skip over this item I want to talk to you about here in this book, because you and I won't agree on it. I said, I agree with you on a lot of things, but the impact fees, he said, well, let's go ahead and do it. So we did. That lasted about 30 minutes. But I've been thinking, what if we did a moratorium on impact fees to see what it would do to trigger the atmosphere of business friendly, and we certainly can, if it doesn't work, if it's too much, to not jeopardize us having to pay off the credits of the impact fees where these developers have done all this work and got credit for the impact fees. But I think we need to try something. And I would say I was not in favor of impact fees, but right now we have to have them. But I'd like to have a moratorium on to spur the business.
Okay, how do you define? I asked this question earlier, but I'm going to ask it again because I'm not sure I see big differences between you and Miss Bennett.
Oh no, I hope you change your statement on that.
Well, but I want you to explain to us here as well as the folks on the internet, what are the differences between the two of you? I understand the experience, I get that.
Okay, and that's good that you get that. That alone sets me apart from her.
Okay, and this is your chance to explain all the differences and why voters should vote for you over her.
Okay. There again, in my open statement, in my business career, I've had two major careers. At a very young age, I was lured away from the South Carolina Highway Patrol, which you've heard me say over and over and over, that position taught me more than any how to respect people and treat people with dignity. And that's what I want to do in the county. But anyway, I was lured away to a national lumber and building supply company. Went through the ranks, became a manager and general manager of the Raleigh, North Carolina store, district manager in Charleston, South Carolina district, and the other main career was commercial lending. Started as a loan officer in training. I'm familiar with corporate business, big business. I elevated to senior vice president of a multi-billion-dollar company out of Chicago. I was based in Atlanta, I had 14 states that I was responsible for, analyzing financial statements, doing budgets, going to some of the best correspondence schools that Heller Financial would offer, like Princeton President Training School. I'm from South Georgia and I talk slow, but I've had some good experience and I've proven myself in the business world. That's part of it. As I said in my open statement, before I ran for any, I'm a pilot. Before I ran for the airport, I was doing fundraisers for the first big one I did was for Katrina, and we raised $35,000. I built a charity house.
You know, I understand your experience and I understand your commitment.
But
to
I
the
think
community.
that's the experience is what I'm saying.
That's great. But I'm trying to find out what the philosophical differences are. How would you vote differently than she? What would you? Where are the philosophical differences between the two of you, both of whom claim to be true conservatives?
I want to make sure that we streamline the government. I think that we can do more with the same amount. I don't want to fire anybody, but I don't want to hire anybody. Population is going to grow, and I think we can do things in technology that will keep our and start rewarding our employees in the county. So, which is saying smaller government because of the growth we've got. Mm-hmm. And that would be the thing. Now, I know that my opponent is right in that building houses creates jobs, and I built houses to help the SHIP program. The big builders and the big building, I think, is kind of some of the problem that we got in here. So I'm just not in favor of rampant building of residential. I think we need to concentrate on the commercial and then fill in where we need homes. Okay.
Money is just disparity between the two of you. She has a lot of it and you don't. And she has the support of all of these large developers in Jacksonville and St. Johns County. And in a race against Mr. Bryan, her PAC had what could clearly be perceived as negative advertising, and she won by pronounced but small margin of 200 or 300 votes over Mr. Bryan and Mr. Kelso. How are you going to blunt the challenge that she has all this money and she has a PAC that has ran a series of ads which certainly Mr. Bryan would perceive to be negative, and others may have as well?
Mm-hmm. And I've been offered PAC money in prior elections and I think that my reputation and record will speak for itself. Now, I have just started my campaign, and I am sending letters as we speak to acquaintances and friends, from my son in South Florida to my friends in Raleigh to my friends in Gainesville, to ask for small amounts of money, and that's what I'm going to base my campaign on. And then with the things I belong to, the Commodore of the Yacht Club here, this mailing list of that, people know what I've done, and I think they'll support me. I will not be able to raise the war chest, and so that's I'm concerned about that. I'm going to be uphill battle to win this, but I hope. And the other thing, Mr. Ellis, is that behind my name, because I chose to make sure I was in the general election, I put I'm an NPA, and I hope people know me, and my opponent is first on the ballot, and she's going to have the R, which stands for conservative, behind her name, that's also an uphill battle. But I think I can get the word out of who I am for the new people, and you're right, it's going to be a hard fall to overcome somebody that's going to have $100,000, and I may have 10.
Okay, Ms. Margot?
Kind of going back over that no party, I know I read the story that you did on it, and you obviously have wanted to be a county commissioner for a long time.
Right.
And so, do you think you probably would have gotten lost in that Republican primary? Your ideas might have been down the way for most voters. So.
There's a possibility, but I just knew that the first time I ran, I was head-to-head with Mr. Bryan, and everything was fine. And then at the last moment, Gary McMahon, who is president of the Republican St. Augustine, said, "Randy, I know I promised I was going to, but I think I got a shot at winning this." I said, "We're going to split the vote, and Mr. Bryan will win." I don't think so. So that happened to me that time. So that's on my mind going way back. And then the second time I ran, which was a very cordial race with Ron Sanchez, because he's a cordial person. The county administrator, ex-county was running. An ex-commissioner, Karen Stern, and Randy Brunson, and Ron Sanchez. And there again, Karen and I got the same amount of votes. Ben was last, but Ron edged that out. So over the years, I think, I said, you know what, I'm tired of splitting votes with good Republicans. I think everybody knows I'm a good Republican by the work I've done for the party. And they know that, and I know that I have the support of some Democrats that I have coffee with every morning. And so therefore I said I'm going to run as an independent.
Well, do you think that county commission offices should be no party rather than party politic?
Well, it certainly was nice when I ran for the airport authority that I could represent everybody and ask for their vote and not talk about party. And so I strongly believe in parties, Democrat, Libertarian, Republican. I believe in that, but I think on local elections that non-party would be the best for everybody. And I think it would bring this, I'm sincere that I think it would bring the county closer together, because I've got some friends in the Democratic Party that I respect as much as anything, and I think it divides this county too much.
Let me ask you about, you talked about economic development. It's been something you've talked about for a long time.
A long time.
And so what are the kinds of jobs that we should be going after? I know that for years the Chamber developed target markets and target market study and went after them, but what kind of jobs should we be getting that will build the businesses that will increase that commercial tax base?
Well, the same kind of businesses, unfortunately, that everybody in the nation wants. And you know, so we've got some assets here that a lot of people don't have. People are still coming here, even though there's no jobs. But the first thing I will say, though, because of the county, and I wouldn't say this as if I was in Atlanta, or I wouldn't say this if I was in South Georgia, in Valdosta, where I went to high school and college. We need clean industry here. And I mean by that we've got too many rivers and lakes and oceans that we've got to protect. And I think sometimes I don't say enough about that we have to protect this environment. But it would be a natural for the medical industry. I talked to Bill Proctor about this 3 years ago about the same question you asked me. Are we doing anything at Tallahassee to get the kind of industry we want here. So we need to, it's like I originally said, that we need to hire a director of economic development. We need, I don't want to hire anybody, but we might have to spend a little money on a consultant that would tell us what businesses that would be a good fit for here. So that we can tell Mr. Joyner, you know, if we start training our workforce and we have a ready, willing and able workforce, we have shovel-ready sites for the industry that the consulting people tells us to go after, and we need to narrow that down to go after those people. Because we're not going to be like Spartanburg, South Carolina, that went out and they got BMW to build a big plant there. I don't see that type thing with us. So, but the medical and computer industries. And
so basically we need to update the target markets and have the economic development director be more focused on target markets that who the commission directs or that the chamber should direct.
Well,
or is it a partnership?
It's a partnership. If we can get that cohesive, that with the EDC, with the chamber, with the county, and it should be a partnership. And we should try it that way first. But
I should point out that the commissioner from Ponte Vedra has said that the partnership does exist and credits the commission in the last 4 years, or especially the last 2 years, for creating that partnership. New head of the chamber, new person at the county, and they're saying that partnership does indeed work. I also point out the governor is opposed to targeting specific types of industries. As you know, under former Governor Bush, he wanted to target health industries down in Palm Beach. The present governor is opposed to that. He doesn't want to target specific industries. He just wants to target anybody who wants to bring in a job.
Do you mind me asking what do you think his rationale is for that?
I don't know what his rationale is. I think his rationale is the perception that the thing that Governor Bush pushed for, the scripts in Palm Beach County, that didn't create as many jobs as they thought it would. But you may recall that he opposed the cancer research company from Maine that wanted to build down in the Sarasota area, and he opposed that. As a result, they moved to Connecticut, and it's not a good subject for the governor to bring up in Sarasota.
Well, again, I'll say again that we certainly can try something, and if it's not good for us, then we can change it. But I sure would think that we were wasting our time to try to do a blanket, that I think we need to get some professional help. And I wish I wasn't in the interview now, because I'd ask you your thoughts on some things. But I think that, you know what, the governor, the representatives in Tallahassee, the county commissioners, they have some clout. And just like I called my friend in Raleigh that was Secretary of Transportation. He's just been appointed by the governor for some other big and very smart young man, and we talked about this a little bit. He's not going to tell me who to go after, because he might want to be going after it, but we can still get a feel for what other people are doing. And we need to use our contacts and our influences and our clout as a county commissioner to help the EDC and be a part of that thing. Now, Jay Morris, I've been kind of tied up for the last year with a business endeavor to help my daughter. But I'm not sure if he's going to all the meetings and doing that, but I talked to Jay. He called me. But I talked to him about this, and I think we're starting to make some inroads into new businesses looking at us, even with the impact fees that we have.
Well, one of the complaints of several businesses, not just new businesses, but existing businesses that want to expand or want to remodel, has been the permitting and permitting fees and the approval process for that stuff. I'm just curious of what your view is of that, and can it be improved? Should it be improved? Can it be streamlined? And you've been in business here, you probably should know that.
I do know that. And the permitting fees, when in the boom, some of that permitting fees were set aside for certain things. Those permitting fees allowed us to build the permit building. Huge, again, in my opinion, overbuilt a little bit too much, but and because I was chairman of the builders, David Shore and I cut the ribbon on that building, and I'm proud of that. But we were promised that there would be a walkway of streamlined permitting, and I really believe the building department, Howard White's department, does an excellent job. But there's so many other departments that you have to jump through. And I don't want to say like we did in Atlanta, or how we did it here, but you have to learn, because where it takes us 6 months or 2 weeks or whatever you're doing, and you could walk into Gwinnett County, Georgia, and in 2 days you could have your permit if you had things right. And I think that that's something that needs to be looked at close. And I will say, and I said in a little speech I did the other day, that you hear me harping on commercial and bringing new businesses in, but every day I have coffee with 3 different coffee groups. One is this way, one's that way, and one's that way. But they, because of the impact fees and the permitting and having to jump through hoops that they don't think are right, they're not expanding their businesses. I equally, and I said this publicly, we need to help existing businesses. And don't ask me, Mr. Ellis, because you're good at taking my word and then say, well, what do you mean by reward? But I'm trying to work on this thing, but we need to reward the existing businesses to expand and create more jobs, and we need to figure out something to reward them for what they do, incentives or whatever.
Perhaps we should encourage them.
Yeah. And you know, and it's pretty bad when people ask you about St. John's, and it has an excellent reputation as far as quality of life. And who wouldn't want to live here? I do. I knew I was going to retire here when I was moved to Valdosta, because this is where my best friend retired to, and I built his house over here on the Intercoastal, and he's an architect, and he and I are getting old together, and we're just having more fun.
Well, you bring up quality of life, and you mentioned earlier about got to have ball fields and all that stuff, but that's really the brunt of the budget crunch, is it not, of how you balance quality of life issues versus service issues versus running of the government? What are your thoughts about how? And you said balance is what you're all about, but how do you balance that?
Well, and the reason I say balance is that I have a daughter that at one time she was into books so much that she almost kept her head in books all the time. And I said, Tracy, you need to do some other things in there. And pretty soon she was a cheerleader and playing basketball, and she got too much this way. So there has to be a balance. And as a county commissioner, I would use that same theory, that you've got so much you have to do for culture. And that's part of government, to do recreation, culture. The main job is to make sure that we're healthy and safe, and we got the things to keep us that way. And that comes first. But you also got to plan ahead, and you keep, just like you do. I just downsized. Sold my home. It hasn't closed yet. I sold my home and I'm living in a 2-bedroom condo, and I wish I'd have done it 10 years ago. I'm so happy, and I've tightened my belt, and I've asked the county to do that. So I have to do that, and in order to have these quality of life things, and to keep having them, we have to tighten our belt. But it all goes back to if we can get this commercial influx, that will help give us all these services that we've become accustomed to, and continue them. But if the heyday comes that we start feeling more comfortable, it would be the county commissioner's job to not let this rampant spending come back again in building Taj Mahals and capital expenditures, and do what the government's supposed to do.
Commissioner-elect McClure has said that he ran on the argument of alternative revenue sources, and he was talking about creating a telecommunications system where we're selling internet access through the county, and he mentioned Leesburg, which sells power to its citizens through FPL. They control it, and they do an upcharge of a couple of %, and that's how they pay for their taxes. And give some example of a city in Georgia where there are no property taxes because they have utilities systems. This is going to come up, he's going to bring it up. So if you're elected, do you support any of these types of alternative services, such as creating a internet company that would be a revenue source for the county?
On the surface, I would say no. When I think of our utility department here, Bill Young's department, it's an enterprise entity, and I think it's run well. And you compare it to some of the things that you talked about. We have lower rates than Jacksonville, and I think the government there is doing a good job on the utilities we have now. And I thought you were getting into some of that is called outsourcing and privatizing and so forth. But you know, you can do a study and a budget. You can say, here's a budget to cut this grass, and I'm going to do it with Joe and George in the back room, and we've got a riding lawnmower here, and it's going to cost $10,000 a year. Or we can find out if Lawn Ranger will do it, and comes out that they give you a quote of $12,000 a year, and you factor in your pensions and your all these things, that your benefits, and you still might come out better doing things yourself. And that's what that you just have to do a study to see which one is the most efficient, which one's the most economical.
Yeah, the thing I'm having trouble getting my arms around is that, yes, you talk about cutting costs in government, being more efficient, but what I don't hear is a question that Ron asked, and I'll plug this one. I'll phrase it this way: Wanchik said, "We can give you any kind of government you're willing to pay for. If you want less government, we'll give you less government. We'll lower your taxes. But if you want the quality of government right now, you have to pay the taxes you're now paying, because that's what it is." But I hear you saying that you want less, but I don't know where you're going to cut. So, and that's a policy decision. It's not Wanchik's decision. It's the board's decision.
Right. But we're going. If I'm county commissioner, I'm going to do what we have to do. But I keep saying over and over again that the key to me is, let's try to get this influx of commercial taxes to keep the budget as is, not hire people, and that is cutting. Mm-hmm. It's just simple arithmetic, and that's my policy and philosophy, and to try it and put an all-out push on getting new businesses and helping existing businesses expand. So,
All right. Margaret, do you have anything else? Randy, we appreciate your time you spent with us, and we'll let you make your closing remarks now, sir.
okay, I think I pretty well beat my drum. but basically, I am Randy Brunson, and I'm running for County Commissioner District 5. I'm proud of my record in business, a successful record. I'm proud of my involvement in the community, and it would take another hour to tell you the things I've done and boards I'm on and what I've done. But I'm extremely important of my tenure as a commissioner of the airport, and I made the promise that I would do everything I could to do what the citizens wanted of making the airport self-sufficient and tax-free. I proved that I could work with a good board. We did that. I now have contacts after all these years with the representatives in the state of Florida and federal government, and if I call, they'll talk to me, and they do. They've become friends, and I ask them a lot of questions, and we have some other officials that have gone by the wayside that still give good input. 3 generations of my family live here, and I want this to be a place where my grandsons will continue to stay here. And everybody says that, and we mean it. Every candidate that you have has said that, I guess. And we're so fortunate to have the schools we have here, and I can work close with them, and even closer, I think. So, but all this, my business experience and my love for the county and being sincere, I want to be known when I leave, and it might be with my age, I don't have to talk about term limits. I might, but if I stay healthy, I'll do as long as I can. But I want to be known as a commissioner that got something done and has treated everybody with respect and dignity. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.